Yes, ma'am. Okay, so she brought up a good point that vitamin E adds a longer shelf life to the products that you add it to, which is great. I didn't know that, but that's awesome. And it's golden and has the same color as wax, so it doesn't add any color or dye to the products that you're making. You can certainly add dye to products if you wanted to make fun colors, but that's not something that I necessarily want to add in. So beeswax will have value to it from the plants that they collected the nectar and the pollen from. Because beeswax is made, they ingest the nectar and the honey that they create, and then that is what goes into their wax glands, and then they produce a wax. So some really experienced beekeepers, much like people that can taste wine, they can smell a beeswax and know what plants it may have derived from. I am by no means at that level, but some people can smell the flowers that it may have derived from. So certainly the beeswax that one beekeeper has in one part of the country may be different smelling than the beeswax in another part of the country where they're bringing in different pollens and different nectars, because it will have the benefits from those different pollens and nectars in the beeswax. Much like honey, for example, this is honey that came from the same hive in the same year, just at different times of the year. So earlier in the season, the bees were probably foraging off of the flowers that are blooming in April and May, and then this is more like black locusts and the sages and things that are blooming later on in the year in our area, but in a different part of the country, it may be swapped depending on what time of the year certain things are blooming. But much like beeswax, you're going to have the different effects from the different plants that they're gathering elements from. Yes?
I know that honey doesn't really go bad. Does beeswax have a shelf life, or can you just keep it in solid form forever?
Yeah, great question. So does beeswax have a shelf life? Not really. It lasts for a long time. You will notice, though, over time that beeswax, this isn't a great example, but that beeswax that's maybe a pure beeswax that's a darker yellow, you'll notice over time it'll start to develop kind of a white substance or layer on top, and that's not problematic. But if you're wanting to display like a candle per se, and you want it to just be this solid, nice golden color, you can take a hairdryer and just warm it up real quick and brush it off, and that white thin layer will come off. So I'm not sure if that's like an oxidation thing that causes that white layer to go on top of the wax, but it's not problematic. So yeah, it will last a very, very, very long time. Yes, sir?
Did you say that those two same size honey bottles or jugs were the same bees?
These came from the same hive, yes.
And is it, do you know which one is what time period?
Yeah, so this came from, we harvested this jar in June, and this one probably in early August. So this would have been nectar that they had been collecting in April and May and early June, and then this would have been the July nectar that was available at that time. But this year, this is from a couple of years ago, this is from 2013. This year, we didn't have nearly the honey harvest that we had last year and the year before, so we ended up just harvesting once. So our honey this year is very much this color, kind of a middle color, because it was probably a combination of all of those nectars and pollens together. Some beekeepers will put bees out into an area where for a very long distance it's all one plant. So beekeepers might have hives that are out in a lavender field, and then they know that their honey is likely lavender sourced nectar that was turned into honey, and it might have a specific color. But the hives that I have personally, and then the hives that we run at Boise State, they are gathering pollen and nectar from all over the place. So by no means can we title it anything. It would, in that case, just be a wildflower honey. Yes, sir?
What's the market value for beeswax?
Ooh, I do not know, because I've never bought it. But
Buying and selling it?
I saw, okay, when I was at Natural Grocers looking at the price of beeswax, they had a brick of it that was about this size. So actually, let's just weigh this and see how much this weighs. It was not quite this shape, but it was probably about this size. So this is, it's close to a pound of wax. So I bet it was a brick that was a pound, and it was probably between $20 and $30, I want to say. I used 2 ounces in this recipe. So recipes will call for different amounts. I like to use beeswax in recipes that it's not just pure beeswax like candles, because it doesn't go nearly as far. I'd rather use it in cosmetics and other crafts where I'm mixing it with things. So please do not take my word on that price per pound. It's going to vary a lot. Local beekeepers that claim their hives are organic are going to sell the honey for a lot higher price than a commercial beekeeper would. Well, thank you all so much for coming. I had a really great time making this product here today. Again, my name is Melinda Jean Stafford. You can check out my blogs and the videos, and this video from today's class will be online as well on DMB's YouTube page. So if you go to youtube.com and just search DMB Supply, you'll find their channel with this video and many other videos. And you can also go to their Facebook page and, like Jen mentioned, blogs. Perfect. And you can read a lot of blogs that I've written on a variety of topics. So I encourage you to check it out. And again, I'll be here for another 30 minutes or so to answer questions. So thanks for coming.